The risk of severe transboundary haze this year is moderate, and the dry season is expected to be milder than last year. That's according to the latest haze outlook report by the Singapore Institute of International Affairs. However, it also highlighted that the disruption caused by COVID-19 is having a negative impact on implementation and enforcement of fire prevention initiatives in Indonesia.
For more insights, we're joined by Associate Professor Simon Tay, Chairman of the Singapore Institute of International Affairs. Prof. Tay, the COVID-19 pandemic, now it is consuming time and financial resources that would have, we could say, otherwise been allocated for fire and haze response. So how will this affect the extent of transboundary haze we might see this year?
Yes, that's a very good question, Glenda. I think this is the new factor, we know it's going to have an impact. We don't know what the scale of the impact will be. I will put it this way. The pandemic has three types of effects on the chance of a major severe haze. The first is economic, in terms of the resources. Indonesia, like other countries, is putting quite a lot of the financial resources into trying to defeat or soften the economic impacts. The second is the social distancing, which is necessary, but makes it harder to engage people, to move from the capital or other state capitals into the provinces, into the villages and communities, to really reach out to educate small farmers, communities, to even do fire prevention work or restoration of peatlands and wetting them. So those are two impacts. The third impact is actually the most difficult to read, the impact on the low prices. As the economy globally has come down, some of these resource commodities, palm oil in particular, prices have softened. We don't know whether this is going to lead to people clearing land more cheaply, therefore using fires, or whether it's going to mean that they're not going to clear land, they're just going to sell less. But I think that with the rural development, rural livelihoods under pressure, the probability is that they will start to sell more. And the last factor, of course, is distraction. When one is faced with priorities, and pandemic is a necessary priority for Indonesia, just like all of us, there might be some risk of attention being lost on a perennial recurring problem, severe problem of the haze.
Well, prolonged drought was the key driver on the fires and haze last year. Perhaps one positive aspect is that the dry season is set to be milder this year. So what should we be looking out for then, the key drivers, if you like, that people on the ground would indicate for this year that things could be getting worse or getting bad?
Yes, I think let's take a step back. I mean, last year was a bad year for fires across the world, and Indonesia was no exception. And particularly, as you said, Steve, the question was of the dry climate, particularly dry because of the Indian Ocean dipolar. Now, this year, the climate, the studies we've shown, the quantitative numbers suggest it's neutral to actually a little bit wetter. So normally, we'd be actually more comfortable, more assured that it won't be as bad as last year, which was a bad year. But the COVID-19 is one factor that makes it harder to say that Indonesia is going to push ahead. Now, to be fair to the Jokowi administration, they see it as a legacy and they are giving it some attention. But there are other constraints. Some of the laws are being passed positively, but some of the reforms are actually being watered down in anxiety to get business going again. So I think this is really quite a mixed picture. This is why on a scale of green, amber and red, we're giving this an amber color. I hope that the report comes out in time so that companies, the Indonesian government and other players and stakeholders in this industry realize that it's not too late. If we can give attention to this, then know we're at the start of the dry season, it won't get too bad this year.
Okay, Professor Tay, thank you as always for your time this evening. Associate Professor Simon Tay, Chairman of the Singapore Institute of International Affairs.